It's too bad she didn't win her congressional race the last time around, but boy, oh boy, was she spectacular. I'm talking about Kim Klacik. Her ads for that race went mega viral. She was running in Baltimore for Congress. Take a look.
Do you care about Black lives? The people that run Baltimore don't. I can prove it. Walk with me. They don't want you to see this. I'm Kim Klacik. This is Baltimore, the real Baltimore. This is the reality for Black people every single day. Crumbling infrastructure, abandoned homes, poverty, and crime. Baltimore has been run by the Democrat Party for 53 years. What is the result of their decades of leadership? Baltimore is one of the top 5 most dangerous cities in America.
See what I'm talking about? This was awesome. And Kim Klacik, you may not have won that race for the House of Representatives, but I think huge things are coming. You know, 4 of the last 5 presidents, I think, Kim, ran for Congress and lost the first time around. So who knows what's next? Kim Klacik, welcome to Newsmax. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You know what I mean about that? I'm not kidding. Clinton, Obama, George W. Bush, their first time running for office, they all ran for Congress. They all lost. They never became members of the House of Representatives. And look what they achieved. I think that could happen for you. Have you thought about the future in those terms?
Thank you. Yeah, you know, actually, we left $1 million in the bank. We were very conservative with our treasury, and so we're definitely run again. We don't know if we're going to do it, you know, coming up in 22 or 24, because obviously Baltimore, there's still a lot of work to be done. So there's a lot of ground that we still have to cover, but we're definitely going to continue to run, and you never know what the future holds.
All right. So, Kim, there are some really weird things happening in America today that I just don't feel like I know my country like I used to. What's right is wrong. What's wrong is right. Last summer, they tried to burn down a church across from the White House. President Trump walked across the next day when order had been restored and proudly held up a Bible. Maybe not proudly, but I think with a certain dignity, held up that Bible. Now today, there is a Black Lives Matter sign outside that same church. What Donald Trump did is considered by the mainstream American culture to be an abomination. And now Black Lives Matter has been memorialized in front of that church. And as you probably know, I'm sure, their values aren't in sync with what the church teaches, I believe.
No, you're absolutely right, Greg. You know, it's crazy, but there are a lot of Black Americans that do not agree with Black Lives Matter at all. A lot of us know that this is really just an organization that has a front, and this is how they make money. You can look at the local chapters, and they will tell you they have not received much money from the headquarters at BLM, even though they've asked time and time again. The families that they talk about supporting through everything that they've gone through as far as losing their children, you know, even if it's in the hands of police officers, they don't support those families either with anything, not even a financial benefit. And they raise millions of dollars. People don't realize this, but if you do go to their website, they talk about the destruction of the family structure, right? And so for us, Black Americans, that is the worst thing that we could do, especially in our own communities. You know, Baltimore City is a prime example of what happens when you devalue family structure. The 1994 crime bill hit us hard. As you know, our president, Joe Biden, co-sponsored that bill. Even Kwesi Nkrumah, my opponent in the congressional race, he also co-sponsored that bill, and it killed us in our community. So Black Lives Matter should never be supported, and it's so sad to see that they are.
And police, as you know, demonized, stigmatized, they're trying to cancel them. And this was glorified by the mainstream media. Scenes like this, where a young, irate woman gets in the face of a police officer, yells at him. This is during COVID, by the way. That seems dangerous at the time. This was okay. This was all somehow beautiful. This is speaking truth to power. And my fear is that the culture, like somehow these values are taking hold. This is permanent. And I know you have this PAC, the Red Renaissance. I'd love to see if there's something you can do about all of this. I know it's a lot on your plate if you can.
Yeah, so Red Renaissance, thank you so much for mentioning it. We have a PAC where we're supporting candidates across the country that, you know, support America First policies. And of course, our police, you know, we back the blue, all of us. You know, these are people that put their lives on the line people that they've never even met. And I don't understand why would we vilify any of the police. If you look at Baltimore City specifically, last June, we defunded the police by $22 million, and we had hundreds of people lose their lives to gun violence because there were less police on patrol. Now, this June, we have refunded the police by $28 million. And unfortunately, we've had so many police officers already leave the force, it's hard to recruit them at this point. The police are people that we need, especially in Black communities, because they're some of the most dangerous neighborhoods. So yes, we are working so hard to make sure candidates that grow up in their community go on to represent their community. And again, they are all supporters of police.
So have you noticed that January 6th is now the cudgel, is now the excuse to cancel, stifle all debate, any questions about the election, any questions almost about anything? January 6th is worse than September 11th. And this I'm hearing now from prominent Republicans and some former Republicans like Steve Schmidt, like Matthew Dowd. Take a look at this guy, Steve Schmidt, active in Republican politics for a very long time, top aide to George W. Bush, John McCain. This guy is not supposed to be crazy. And well, listen to this.
The 1/6 attack for the future of the country is a profoundly more dangerous event than the 9/11 attacks. And in the end, the 1/6 attacks are likely to kill a lot more Americans than were killed on the 9/11 attacks, which will include the casualties of the wars that lasted 20 years following it.
I know that's insane. I think, Kim, you know that's insane. But people are actually buying this stuff. This is the new narrative. And President Trump said the other day, if you say it often enough, again and again and again, people will start to believe it somehow.
No, those comments are so disgusting. I can't believe he made such comments. And I can't believe anybody would support such comments. You know, on 9/11, we lost tragically so many people, firefighters, police officers, regular everyday people going to work, children. Remember, there were lots of children on that plane that crashed down in Pennsylvania. And so for them to compare it to January 6th, where it basically was, a riot. I know they called it an insurrection, but it was a riot. I mean, this makes no sense whatsoever. But this is something that they push. And Trump is right. If they say it more and often enough, people begin to believe it. But it kind of reminds me of what Congresswoman Ilhan Omar said about 9/11. Some people did some things. It's just as bad. That was a tragic day in American history. I thought that we would learn from it. And here we are really just degrading what happened and putting a scar on all those lives lost. There are a lot of families still grieving from what happened on 9/11. So I'm disgusted.
There's one little girl I think about, because not much has been said about the children who were lost on 9/11. And she was on the plane that crashed into, I believe, the South Tower, and she was on her way to Disney World. It was a dream. And if you'll give me a moment, I think her name was, here she is, Kim Hansen, Christine Lee Hansen, just 2 years old, the youngest of the victims on September 11th. A 2-year-old was lost on 9/11, and a guy like Schmidt saying what he just said. Kim, I'm so glad you're out there doing what you're doing. The Red Renaissance, check it out, folks. It's at www.redrenaissance.com. Kim Klacik, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, and we'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.